quick note before we begin. Our team works hard to bring you the most gripping sci-fi stories every week. If you enjoy this tale, please leave a comment and drop a like. Your support helps us keep creating epic content like this. Let us know your favorite part. And now, let the hunt begin. The Great Bazaar of Dershath was the kind of place where thousands of species mingled without a second thought. A living monument to interstellar commerce. Its air shimmered with scents of ozone, rare spices, and alien pheromones. Everything from black market implants to psionic crystal shards could be found here, if you knew where to look, and if you had the courage. No one noticed the predator when it first entered the lower quadrant. No one ever did. It was tall, though not unnaturally so, its shape cloaked in reactive fiber that mimicked the iridescent shadows of the district. Its movements were too smooth, too quiet, and its eyes, an unnatural shade of obsidian, tracked motion with the cold hunger of something that didn't simply kill, but studied. The creature was known in hushed tones across 3 sectors as a Rithraga wraith, an apex hunter from the death moon Keljar. It did not hunt for sustenance. It hunted for dominance. Today, the wraith had a mission: to claim a new kill. Not for survival or ritual, but for reputation. It moved through the crowd like a breeze between pillars. Its internal scanner painted targets in glowing overlays, physiological stress signatures, movement rhythms, threat potential. Dozens of aliens flickered in its vision, most marked green, harmless. A few flickered yellow, dangerous under the right conditions. One, a Chevalan bruiser, registered orange, potential prey, and then it stopped. The crowd shifted. For a moment, the predator's sensory systems glitched. A human, alone. Leaning casually against a metallic pillar, arms crossed, one boot resting on the wall behind her. She wore no armor, no exosuit, no visible weapons. Just a simple brown flight jacket with a Terran flag patch on the shoulder, and a faint smirk that hovered on the edge of mockery. The Wraith scanner activated instinctively. Species: Homo sapiens. Status: active, combat rating. Error: again. Combat rating: unknown. Threat level: undetermined. The predator tilted its head. How could this be? The scanner began a full-spectrum rescan, extending into neurochemical levels, muscular microtension, and heat pattern mapping. The result returned in silent pulses of data. Posture: relaxed. Heart rate: low. Ocular focus: locked on you. Muscle tension: pre-strike readiness. Weapon detected: none visible. Subdermal implants: inconclusive. The human didn't move, but she didn't need to, because in that moment the predator knew. She had seen it. Not just noticed, not just sensed. She had seen it, watched its approach, measured it, predicted it, and smiled. The wraith took an instinctive step back, something it had never done before. Its hunger faded into something else, something alien to it: fear. In a market full of prey, it had found something that refused to be hunted, something that hunted back. The Rithraga wraith backed further into the crowd, allowing noise and motion to obscure its form. Its neural buffer throbbed with conflicting signals. Fear wasn't programmed. Hesitation wasn't part of its design. It was bred for pursuit, built for efficiency, and unleashed without mercy. But that human, she hadn't moved. Not a single shift in posture. No flecks of aggression. And yet, she had triggered every instinctual warning the wraith possessed. Predators sensed danger not just through tech, but something older than cybernetic sensors or tactical heuristics. Something buried in instinct, and the human had radiated it. Her smirk hadn't been arrogance. It had been understanding. The wraith leaned against a stone column and reran the scan protocols. It sifted through decades of tactical data, reviewed thousands of battlefield encounters. It found dozens of successful hunts, 100 victorious engagements. But every encounter involving humans, particularly solo humans, was marred with anomalies. Erratic battle strategies, unexplainable endurance, unthinkable brutality when cornered. The Wraith had dismissed those as exaggerations, primitive soldiers embellishing Terran myths. But now, it wasn't so sure. On the other side of the market, the woman finally shifted her weight. Her boot dropped from the wall with a faint clunk, and she walked, not toward the Wraith but deeper into the bazaar, weaving through merchants and drunks like she had all the time in the world. She didn't look back, which meant somehow she knew the Wraith was still watching. What infuriated the predator most wasn't the fear. It wasn't even the uncertainty. It was the dismissal. She had marked him as irrelevant, not worth eliminating, not worth acknowledging. The last time that happened, a Tekhar warlord lost his entire cruiser fleet trying to ambush a human diplomat who'd smiled the same way. The Wraith clenched its claws. No, this wasn't over. He initiated a remote link to the Shadow Brokers network. If the human had a profile, it would be here. Name, Captain Rena Hale. Affiliation, Terran Void Recon, Division Black. Status, active. Combat history, redacted. Psychological rating, redacted. Threat level, classified, do not engage alone. A red alert code blinked twice beneath the entry. Protocol Omega clearance required. The Wraith's second heart skipped a beat. That clearance was only tagged on units capable of destabilizing entire systems. It had hunted some of the deadliest predators across 5 galaxies, and this was the first time its system ever warned against direct engagement. She hadn't just been relaxed. She had been baiting him. The Wraith took a slow breath and narrowed his gaze. Perhaps it had miscalculated, but he wasn't one to flee a challenge. This wasn't fear anymore. It was fascination. He would watch her, track her, study her, and when the time was right, strike. But deep inside, even as he justified his resolve, a single unnerving question echoed louder than logic. What if she knew that too? Night fell on Dershath Station like a curtain of cold neon. Towering ad screens flickered between languages. Vending drones hummed down alleys, and the glow of distant reactor cores pulsed like slow, sleeping hearts beneath the deck plates. The Rithraga Wraith moved through this twilight web like a phantom, cloaked, silent, its biological thermal profile dampened by an advanced neural mesh. It had been tracking Captain Rena Hale for hours now, always at the edge of visual contact. She never looked back. She visited 5 different stalls, spoke with 3 different vendors, laughed once with a drunk Kronovian trader, ate something questionable on a skewer, and tossed the stick in a trash slot without a care in the world. Everything about her screamed nonchalance, relaxed, unaware. But the Wraith didn't believe it. This wasn't ignorance. It was control. And that terrified him more than a drawn weapon ever could. Eventually, she entered the low-level terminal marked Dock 73G. It was mostly abandoned, save for a rusted cargo hauler and a drunk repair bot arguing with its own diagnostics. No security, no cameras, the perfect place to vanish. The Wraith stayed on the catwalks above, sensors focused, limbs poised for a silent descent. She stopped at the far end of the platform and looked up. Right. At him. He froze. Her hand didn't go to a weapon. Instead, she held up a small metal object, a coin perhaps, and tossed it into the air. It flipped, gleamed under the flickering dock light, and landed with a sharp clink at his feet. Not a coin. A military dog tag. The Wraith crouched and scanned it. Captain Rena Hale, Void Recon, Division Black. If you found this, you waited too long. His eyes widened. When he looked back down, she was gone. He dropped from the rafters, landing silently, eyes scanning every corridor. Heat trails, sonic echoes. No sign. It was like she had vanished into the metal itself. The Wraith activated a full tactical sweep. Infrared, UV, low-frequency resonance. Nothing. He hissed in frustration. Then his comm implant chirped. A transmission. Encrypted. No origin ID. He decrypted it anyway. Just 3 words. "You're too slow," followed by a soft laugh. Her voice. He staggered back as a pulse of static overrode his sensors. She had hacked his neural HUD. That should have been impossible. Only Terran ghost operatives had that level of black code intrusion clearance, and even then only after weeks of physical access. She had done it from 100 meters. The Wraith realized then that he wasn't hunting her. She was testing him. He stood there in the quiet, breath shallow, senses reeling. Everything about her was wrong. She didn't fit any profile, didn't follow any pattern. She was chaos in human skin, and she'd seen him the entire time, from the market, through the crowd, across the docks. He hadn't been a predator. He'd been baited. But why? Later, back at his den, he watched surveillance footage on loop. Every frame of her smile, every tilt of her head, every glance, analyzing, reviewing, obsessing. One thing was now certain. This was no ordinary human. This was a message. To him. To his species. To anyone watching. Earth didn't run. Earth hunted. The Wraith had hunted apex beasts on volcanic moons. He'd infiltrated fortress worlds ruled by sentient AI. He'd once slipped through the bioelectric defenses of a hive mind species that devoured thoughts before flesh. But none of that had prepared him for her. Not Captain Rena Hale. Not the human who vanished into a dockyard without breaking stride. Who hacked his neural HUD just to leave a mocking message. Who smiled like a wolf in a field of sheep. He hadn't slept in 36 hours, not since that encounter. And that was new. Rithraga didn't need sleep. But this wasn't exhaustion of the body. This was a siege on the mind. His mission had been simple. Observe human behavioral patterns on Dershath. Assess their integration with the galactic civilian networks. Gauge their military threat in case of open war. The Council never expected a single operative to run into Division Black, much less walk away. But the Wraith couldn't let go. Not now. He needed to know why she let him live. Why she didn't strike. Why she toyed with him. And if he was honest with himself, why it felt like mercy. He pulled files from the Shadow Registry, some scrubbed, some stolen. Rena Hale was a ghost. Every mission either classified or completely erased from official records, except one. The wreck of the Axiom Requiem. He'd heard of it. Everyone had. A research vessel lost to deep space during the Eldar Spire collapse, recovered 2 years later, drifting, silent, every crew member torn apart from the inside. Except her. Rena Hale was the sole survivor. The last log entry was a video. No sound. Just her, standing in the ruined bridge covered in blood and soot, staring at the camera, and smiling, not in madness, not in triumph, but with the cold calm of someone who had seen the abyss, and smiled back. He slammed the datapad down. This wasn't just a predator. She wasn't prey. She wasn't even human, not by conventional metrics. She was something else. Something made in the crucible of extinction events and forgotten wars. Something born from Earth's worst instincts and honed into surgical lethality. His internal alert flared. Ping detected. Incoming message. He froze. Encrypted. From her. He opened it. A single line. Still watching? Good. Try harder. Followed by coordinates. Sector Epsilon 9. A derelict mining rig orbiting a dead star. It was a challenge. A dare. A hunt. She was inviting him. Not as prey. Not as a victim. But as something worthy. And the Wraith felt it again. That deep, primal rush. Fear. Respect. Anticipation. She wanted him to see what humans really were. Not in theory. Not on a datapad. But up close. And he would go. Because if Rena Hale was a myth, he needed to know if it was true. Or worse, if she was just the beginning. The derelict mining rig hung over the dead star like a forgotten carcass. Its hull was rusted, its lights dim, and its silence unnatural. Sector Epsilon 9 was so far from any major traffic lane that no official vessel had pinged it in over a decade. And yet the Wraith was here, drawn by a message, a challenge, a human. Captain Rena Hale had sent him these coordinates. She wanted him to come. No traps, no backup, just a location and an invitation. And still, he came. He slipped through the broken airlock like a shadow, weapons on standby, sensors scanning every creak and flicker. The place was quiet. Too quiet. His HUD flickered briefly, static interference again. The same black code anomaly she used to blind him at Dock 73G. She was already watching. Of course she was. He reached the central operations deck, rows of shattered consoles, flickering hollow panels, blood-like rust patterns coating the walls. The air was stale but breathable. The kind of place that once thrummed with industry, now long forgotten. She was standing by the main window, waiting, hands behind her back, staring out at the collapsed star beyond, like she had all the time in the universe. "You came," she said softly, without turning around. Her voice carried through the station like a ripple through smoke. "I wasn't sure if you would." The Wraith said nothing. He approached slowly, cautiously. Predator meeting predator. No sudden movements. No lies. Only the truth. "I needed you to understand," she continued, finally turning to face him. "What Earth creates when it feels threatened." Her eyes weren't angry or mocking. They were calm, measured, deadly. "We didn't start this," she said. "The moment we stepped into the Galactic stage, your kind started measuring our weaknesses, creating files, planning contingencies." She stepped forward, slow and sure. "And you got it wrong. All of it." The Wraith tensed but held still. Her presence was heavier than gravity. She wasn't armed. She didn't need to be. "Humans weren't shaped by peace," she said. "We were forged by survival, against storms, predators, extinction, and each other." Her voice dropped lower. "When your kind began running seminars on how to eliminate us, we didn't panic. We didn't retaliate." She smiled, that same small, terrifying smile. "We listened, took notes, learned." She tossed something at his feet. Another tag, not hers. It bore an alien name, scratched and scorched. Arithraga commander. One who had gone missing. "You thought we didn't know," she said. "But we do. Every file, every plan, every lecture." She stepped closer, now only a meter away. "And now you know what we are." The Wraith finally spoke, his voice hollow. "Why me?" She tilted her head. "Because you're not stupid. You watched instead of acted. You studied instead of attacking. I respect that." A pause. "You can go back to your people. Tell them whatever you like, that I'm real, that Earth is ready, or..." She stepped aside, revealing a terminal, blinking faintly. "You can join the ones who've decided to stop pretending this galaxy belongs to anyone else." He looked at the terminal, then at her. She wasn't bluffing. He felt the weight of a choice heavier than any blade. He could return. Warn the Council, be dismissed, or dissected, or he could learn, evolve, adapt, like them. He walked to the terminal, paused, and placed his hand on the pad. Access granted. Her smile deepened. "Welcome to the new hunt."